Bird delivers, and Simon swings and hits one in the right field. It is deep. It is way back, and it is all gone. A home run.
For 3 generations of Michigan baseball fans, he was the voice of summer. Ernie Harwell spent the final 42 of his 55 Major League Baseball seasons with the Detroit Tigers. The Hall of Famer passed away in May of 2010, and for the past year and a half, his life story has been told through a play on a stage in Detroit called simply Ernie.
And in 2 weeks, that play will be coming to Grand Rapids. It'll be the first time it's been performed anywhere outside of Detroit. Jack Dole sat down with the man who wrote the play, longtime Detroiter and award-winning writer Mitch Albom.
What inspired you to write this play?
Ernie asked me. In the last year of his life, he asked if I would consider doing a play or a movie about his life, and unfortunately he died before we were really able to work much on it together. But I knew it was something he would like done if he felt it was done right, and I've done my best to try to do that.
And I mean, how blown away were you that he would ask you to do that?
Yeah, it's stunning. I mean, not only does it show a level of respect for you or your work that you're humbled by, but it's quite a personal thing to ask somebody to tell your life story to the rest of the world. And I hope I was as delicate and as careful and as loving in writing it as I felt in my heart about my relationship with him. So yeah, it was an honor to be asked.
Have you met a better man in all your years in this business?
Well, I try not to rank men or women because everybody's different. But Ernie Harwell is certainly as good a man as I've ever met, and as kind and as honest and as humble, but most importantly as content a man as I've ever met. And I've met a lot of people who have done a lot of amazing things, but rarely have I met someone who has been so at peace with who he was and what he was doing and how he lived his life as Ernie Harwell. And after the play came out, I have encountered so many people who have come up to me and said, I wrote Ernie a letter when I was getting married, and I said, you don't know me, but we're getting married, but it would be the greatest thing if you could come to our wedding. And he showed up. You start to hear things like that, and you go, wow, I thought I knew how impressive a guy he was. But now if I was writing the play all over, I'd have to include all these other stories that everybody was telling me. So, yeah, he was really special.
For people that didn't get to know Ernie as intimately as you did, they have his voice in their heads, and it's a beautiful voice. How much was that in your head as you were writing, trying to write dialogue?
Yeah. Well, you have to, of course, sound like Ernie if you're going to put a play together. Obviously, Ernie wouldn't have like a Brooklyn accent. So the Georgia twang that he had and a lot of the famous calls that he made are in the play, are worked in. There's Long Gone and House by the Side of the Road and all those familiar kind of catchphrases. But I was blessed to know Ernie for 25 years, and not just to listen to him on the radio, but to sit next to him and eat some ice cream and eat some popcorn and hang around in the booth, to sit in the stands and sit in the dugout next to one another. I mean, my memories of Ernie, the blessed ones that I have, are not listening to him on the radio, because actually when the game was on, I didn't have to listen to him on the radio. I was usually there. It's talking to him after the game, before the game, riding on a bus at a team hotel, hearing the stories about his youth, hearing the stories about why he got into baseball and the people that he's known, watching him kind of rock back and forth on his feet when he would talk, Mr. Albom, like that. And we put all that in, and I remember teaching Will Young, I said, well, he used to pop his lips a lot like that, and he used to move around like this, and Will captures all of that now. So for me, all of that was kind of in my head, but it was Ernie the man. And I think hopefully that's what this play does as well. It shows people more than just a baseball announcer, but this amazing human being behind that wonderful voice.
Was there a point when you were writing this that you just kind of broke down from the emotion of it?
Well, there's a scene where he has to tell the boy that he's dying. And it was hard because I don't want the play to be a downer or anything like that. So I ended up putting it right after a very funny scene where they talk about Sparky Anderson and how Sparky didn't really speak English. He spoke Sparky, ain't gonna, and they laugh, and they're doing this thing together, and they're just laughing, and then there's just sort of a moment And they take a breath, and then he looks at the boy. He says, "I'm dying," and the boy says, "I know," because he's kind of a magical boy and he knows some things. And that was a very emotional moment to write or to watch on stage when the actor first said it, because you've gone through this 80 minutes of this 90-minute play, and you're just so, he's such a lovable guy, and all of a sudden you realize, right, this is taking place because he was dying. That was the reason he was asked to speak at Comerica Park, was because everybody knew he only had limited time left. So yeah, that was pretty emotional, and it is when I watch it on stage, even now.
Now, this is a play you've had opportunities to take elsewhere. Why the first time out of Detroit in Grand Rapids?
Well, I never planned to take it out of Detroit anywhere originally, because when a play is successful, as we've been blessed to be, you get a lot of offers to do it, all over the place, particularly in Florida and Georgia, New York, California, places where either there's a good theater community or he had some connection. But I always feel that, why does everything that we create here in Michigan have to go someplace else? Why can't people come here if they want to see it? And I didn't want it to turn into a commodity, and then you have to, who's going to play Ernie in Florida, and who's going to play him there, and are they going to be good? And, well, they can't afford this guy and that guy. We nurtured this thing like a baby. We invented it. We watched over it every step of the way, from every piece of scenery and every piece of footage on the walls of the play was right in our control, because it would happen in our backyard. And it was only when Hospice of Michigan asked, well, how about Grand Rapids? And I said, well, the Tigers are heard in Grand Rapids, and Ernie was the voice of the Tigers, and it's still Michigan. Okay, if we can do it and do it for charity, and if we can literally pick the whole show up and move it out and put it in a theater almost exactly the same size, same look, it's like I have the same actors, they know exactly how to move, we're not changing anything, and we found the theater at the Wealthy Theater to do that with. It's almost the same number of seats as our theater in Detroit. We can construct it the same way. And I said, all right, I think we got Ernie's blessing on this. It's for a good cause, and it's within the state lines of Michigan. So that's why the first place we're taking it, maybe the only place we'll ever take it, is here in Western Michigan.